Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this meeting, we're going to learn about how to write argumentative essay, focusing on introductory paragraph. Why should we learn this? This skill is very important for academics because it is the basis for writing discussion papers, such as research papers, publication, and so on. Writing argumentative essay is also very important for students to successfully work on various assignments. In addition, this skill will be very useful for doing task 2 IELTS writing test. As you have known that IELTS is a key for you to go abroad, to study abroad, to get scholarship, and etc. Is writing easy? This is the biggest question ever in my mind. Is writing easy? Is it true? If what we mean is to write a diary, yes, it's quite easy. However, writing in an academic context is not easy, especially if we intend to write assignments for schools abroad. Why? Because the structure of writing that is mostly requested by classes in Anglo-Saxon countries, for example Australia, is an argumentative essay writing that is not very used in Indonesia. So what does the argumentative essay look like? An argumentative essay is a piece of writing that takes a stance on an issue. In a good argumentative essay, a writer attempts to persuade readers to understand and support their point of view about a topic by stating their reasoning and providing evidence to back it up. Argumentative essay writing is a common assignment for high school and college students. Generally, argumentative essay topics are related to science, technology, politics, and healthcare. What is in an argumentative essay? Number one, it must have a strong introduction. It contains a thesis statement located in the first paragraph of the essay, preferably the first sentence. The transition between the introduction, body, and conclusion are clean and understandable. There is a clear emphasis on the data and facts used, a simple yet impactful conclusion. How to outline argumentative essay in 4 steps. Argumentative essays should have a straightforward structure so they are easy for readers to follow. The goal of an argumentative essay is to clearly outline a point of view, reasoning, and evidence. A good argumentative essay should follow this structure. First, introductory paragraph. Second, the thesis statement. The third, body paragraphs. The body paragraphs can be more than one paragraph. And the last but not least, the conclusion. Now, in this meeting, I will teach you on how to write introductory paragraph. So by the end of this meeting, you will be able to write introductory paragraph containing some sentences and the thesis statement. Do you have any question? Right. Let's continue our discussion. Introductory paragraph. The first paragraph of your essay should outline the topic, provide background information necessary to understand your argument, outline the evidence you will present, and state your thesis. You now know how to write the body of an argumentative essay. In the next 2 sections of this unit, you will learn how to write an introduction and a conclusion. Why introduction are very important? Because The introduction gives the reader his or her first impression of the text. Let me repeat. Why introductions are very important? Because it gives the reader his or her first impression of the text. The first impression that you are aiming to give the reader is of a high quality argumentative text written in a professional academic style. Now, please have a look at the outline section of the introduction. The first thing that you have to write is a hook. Do you know what a hook is? Awesome. Very good. First of all, think about a powerful, eye-catching hook to grab your reader's attention. Sure, it's important to know who your target audience is first. Remember, different people require different approaches. For example, the topic is about why there should be a second official language in the United States in addition to English. Let me repeat. The topic is why there should be a second official language in the United States in addition to English. So you may refer to the example of the hook. For example, as far as most of the immigrants in the United States speak Spanish due to the neighborhood with Latin America, Spanish should be made the second official language in the United States. So please have a look in this sentence. You see that most of the immigrants speak Spanish because they are really close to Latin America. That's why this is a reason why Spanish should be the second official language in the United States after English. Do you understand? Right, very good. Now, after a hook, you have to write a background information. Still, this is in the first paragraph. In the background information, don't try to write too much in this part. Simply name a topic and give a hint on what you'll be talking about in your argumentative text. Briefly explain why the topic is important and who cares about it. For example, the research shows that immigrants from Latin America feel uncomfortable with studying in English schools as they require more time to learn this language. Thus, it is important to work on the question of the second national language. So, let's have a look on this background information. The topic is the use of Spanish as the second official language in the United States, and you try to explain why the topic is important and who cares about it. Who cares about the Spanish becomes the second language? The immigrants. Because they feel that studying English is boring. Studying English in the school really requires them to learn this language more time. That's why it's important to work on the question of the second national language, that is Spanish. Now, working on the thesis statement. Thesis statement usually located in the last sentence of the first paragraph or the introduction. This part contains the main argument, so don't pose any question here, just state your main point of view clearly and without any hesitation. It means that you have to be truly sure about what you are going to write as the thesis statement. No doubt in writing a thesis statement. Once again, the thesis statement is like a stepping stone for you to write the body paragraphs. For example, studying in a university is very important for humankind because of some particular reasons. This is a thesis statement. So the reasons that you've already mentioned in the thesis statement, you will write them all in the body paragraphs. So this is a clue on how to write an essay introduction. Right, hooking your reader, as I have mentioned in the previous slide. You have to hook your reader. Remember, your reader is academics. It means that you have to use academic approach. For example, for example, William Shakespeare's classic drama Othello centers around the two conflicting characters of Saming, manipulative Iago, and the honorable but oftentimes faithless Othello. This is an example of hooking your reader using William Shakespeare classic drama because the audience is all the people who really like literature, who really like stories, novels. So you have to remember what and who your audience is. So the first thing that you have to do is identify your audience. The first sentence or two of your introduction should pull the reader in. You want anyone reading your essay to be fascinated, intrigued, or even outraged. You can do this if you do not know who your likely readers are. If you are writing a paper for a class, don't automatically assume your instructor is your audience. If you write directly to your instructor, you'll end up glossing over some information that is necessary to show that you properly understand the subject of your essay. It can be helpful to reverse engineer your audience based on the subject matter of your essay. For example, if you are writing an essay about a woman's health issue for a women's studies class, you might identify your audience as young women within the age range most affected by the issue. Now, number two, use the element of surprise. You may give a question in the beginning of your sentence. For example, have you ever wondered what you would do if you couldn't fail? A startling or shocking statistic can grab your audience's attention by immediately teaching them something they didn't know. Having learned something new in the first sentence, people will be interested to see where you go next. For this hook to be effective, your fact needs to be sufficiently surprising. If you're not sure, test it on a few friends. If they react by expressing shock or surprise, you know you've got something good. Use a fact or statistic that sets up your essay, not something you will be using as evidence to prove your thesis statement. Facts or statistics that demonstrate why your topic is important or should be important to your audience typically make good hooks. Number 3. Tug at your reader's heartstrings. Have a look at the example. The high rate of poverty in America is the country's elephant in the room. Particularly with personal or political essays, use your hook to get your reader emotionally involved in the subject matter of your story. You can do this by describing related hardship or tragedy. For example, if you were writing an essay proposing a change to drunk driving laws, you might open with a story of how the life of a victim was changed forever after they were hit by a drunk driver. Tragedy, right? Number 4. Offer a relevant example of anecdotes. There was nothing more isolating than being alone in a foreign country with no cell phone, no money, and no ability to speak the language. In your reading and research for your essay, you may have come across an entertaining or interesting anecdote that, while related, didn't really fit into the body of your essay. Such as an anecdote can work great as a hook. Anecdote means you try to make a funny sentence, a sentence that make the reader laugh because it's so funny. For example, if you are writing an essay about a public figure, you might include an anecdote about an odd personal habit that cleverly relates back to your thesis statement. For example, if you're writing an essay about Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson, do you know him? Very good. So you try to make an anecdote about what Mr. Bean usually does, what personal habit Mr. Bean has, and try to relate this anecdote to your thesis statement at the end of the paragraph. Particularly with less formal papers or personal essay, humorous anecdotes can be particularly effective. Number 5. Ask a thought-provoking question. For example, did you know that drinking water is legally allowed to contain lead? This is a thought-provoking question, a question that really provokes the reader's thought to do something. You know the word provocateur, right? Very good. So you try to be a provocateur to your reader that drinking water is legally allowed to contain lead. If you're writing a persuasive essay, consider using a relevant question to draw your reader in and get them actively thinking about the subject of your essay. For example, what would you do if you could play good for a day? That's exactly what the leaders of the tiny island nation of Guam tried to answer. Avoid cliches and generalization. So you cannot write everyone wants someone to love. This is a cliche. This is something general. Since the beginning of time, according to Merriam-Webster, those sentences are not allowed to be written in introduction paragraph. Generalization and cliches even if presented to contrast with your point, won't help your essay. In most cases, they will actually hurt by making you look like an unoriginal or lazy writer. Broad sweeping generalization may ring false with some readers and alienate them from the start. For example, everyone wants someone to love would alienate someone who identify as a romantic or asexual. Now, you have to move from the general to the specific. It can be helpful to think of your introduction as an upside down pyramid. For example, if you are writing an essay about drunk driving fatalities, you might start with an anecdote about a particular victim. Then you could provide national statistic, then narrow it down further to statistic for a particular gender or age group. Remember, your introduction paragraph is about 5% of your essay word count. Try to write your introduction straight from your question analysis, then review it many times while you are writing the body of the essay. Now, the introduction to an essay is rather like a formal social introduction. How do you do? Exercise number 1. Understanding the stages of an introduction paragraph. Sample question is, discuss why assignment essay are common assessment tasks in undergraduate tertiary coursework and evaluate the effectiveness of assignment as an avenue for learning. An introduction paragraph should be funnel shaped. It begins with the broadest topic sentence, then it narrows to the thesis statement or the part of the topic that will be specifically addressed in the essay. The last sentence of the paragraph usually outlines the main point that will be covered in the essay. So sometimes introduction paragraph consists only 3 sentences. Have a look at the picture. So you try to write from general to something specific. You define the general topic, narrow the topic to the essay, question topics, thesis statement, and then state what you intend to do in the essay. This is an outline statement. Okay. This essay will identify and examine the main causes underpinning student difficulties with academic writing and consider evidence to evaluate whether programs delivered in universities address this problem. What type of sentence is this? Background, thesis statement, or outline statement? Right, this is a thesis statement. Because in this sentence you write that this essay will identify and examine blah 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 blah. Now, what about this sentence? Assignment essays are frequently used as assessment tasks to involve students in research, academic reading, and formal essay writing. What type of sentence is this? This is background statement, thesis statement, or outline statement? Right, the answer is background statement. So, the paragraph will start from background statement, thesis statement, and then outline statement. So you have to remember to put them in the correct order. Background first, thesis second, and outline statement as the end of the sentence in introduction paragraph. So this is the example. You may start from assignment essays, and then because, and then this essay will identify.